Pereira alongside Carolyn Acosta, and we are back in the studio today here at Community Newspapers. So thank you guys so much for having us. It's nice to be back, isn't it?
It is nice to be back. We haven't been here in a while.
We haven't, and this is where it all started. I love having South Florida in the background here because we do tend to talk about all things South Florida, specifically Miami-Dade County, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. You guys know our stories and our husbands and my father's affiliation with Miami-Dade Fire. We've been doing this podcast now for almost a year, and I'm excited because this is episode 50.
Yes, it is.
That we have for all of you today. With that said, before we bring in our very special guest, I wanted to let you guys know that Carolyn and I have some exciting events coming up. We'll talk about the first one that's happening in October. We have the information for you. It's on October 23rd. It is the South Florida Wellness Summit. And this is pretty cool because you guys know that we are big on first responders, but this is a mental wellness summit for everybody, not only first responders. And it's taking place in Pembroke Pines at the Charles F. Dodge City Center. Again, that's on October 23rd. It's an all-day event. Tickets are still available. We're not just talking about it. We're also going to be participating in the event. I will be co-hosting the entire event all day. So I hope to see so many of you there. I will also be moderating a panel, and this is kind of cool. This is going to be with first responders, with police officers, with firefighters, talking about what it's really like coming home after a shift. And we know what those moments are like.
Yes, we do. And I think that's a great opportunity for people to actually, get a little taste of what it is to be a first responder and even a spouse.
Yeah. So I have handpicked a very special panel for that event. It's one of the first events of the day. So if you can attend the South Florida Mental Wellness Summit, I encourage you to do so. My husband will be on the panel too. So I'm actually getting interested talking about what it's really like being married to a first responder. And Carolyn, you have a huge part of that as well.
Yes, I am an impact speaker. So I'll be sharing my story, talking about first alarm. So I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah. And today we're kind of taking it back to when we first started. We had a lot of meetings set up and we weren't sure where the First Alarm Foundation was going. And we had a group of individuals, local politicians who were willing to meet with us. And we thank them and we're very thankful for them. Yes. And that's part of who we have with us today.
Yes, today we are very excited to have State Representative Ashley Gant with us. Representative Gant has been a true ally for first responders. She was present at my husband's funeral and she showed her support on one of the hardest days of my life. Since then, she has continued to support the work of First Alarm Foundation. And this year she brought forward a House Bill 1167 in Tallahassee to expand mental health for first responders. Even though the bill didn't pass, this definitely sparked important conversation. And we're happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for having me. I am, first of all, honored to be here, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy it's not raining.
Yeah, it's true.
We have a slight reprieve, but I am still very much in support, and we'll definitely be bringing the bill back. And so I know we're going to have to do some changes and modifications based on legislation that was passed and signed from last session, just to continue the conversation and make sure that we actually get the substantive support that we need for first responders. So yeah,
that's amazing.
And how does that work? And I mean this, I don't completely understand. So you present a bill, right? It doesn't pass. Do you kind of have that idea on the first draft, if you will, that maybe it won't pass? And then what steps go into place to say, okay, this time it's going to happen?
Okay, so I'm going to do so I'm an attorney right now, but I started my professional career as a teacher. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about just basically what state reps do. So our legislature is part-time. So the senators and the state representatives, we also have jobs. If you're not independently wealthy, I'm not there yet. So we go to session during odd years, it's from March to May, and during even years, which are election years, it's from January to March. So we start committee weeks prior to that, and it's 6 weeks of committee weeks prior to the start of session. So we actually go back to Tallahassee this October. And this past session was actually the longest session that we've had since we adopted the 1968 Constitution. So I was in Tallahassee since January to June.
That must have been hard for a Gator to be in Tallahassee.
Oh, yes, it was. But go Gators in all types of weather and wherever we are. But I was there for 6 months. So in the House, we get 7 bills. Okay. In the Senate, they get unlimited bills. And so it's very difficult to narrow down like what those 7 bill slots will be for us. And I usually have I have people bills. Okay, so I look at what do people need, what's going on, and I try to provide a solution or some type of support to that. Some of the bills that I've passed or some of the bills that I've sponsored have been for early learning education. We have working parents who should still be able to be working parents and make that choice and have their child go to early learning education school or courses. I had the first responders bill that I will definitely be bringing back because of attending the funeral and meeting you. And you don't know what you don't know. And so I just wasn't aware. And people weren't aware that these are the things that first responders experience and what their families experience. And we all know that mental health is at the forefront of everything, especially since COVID. You know, as we navigate this new world, because COVID completely changed life, right? As we navigate this new world, it has to be at the forefront, and our humanity does too. And so when we have an idea, we send in the draft, and we actually have a bill drafting department. So they look at the different statutes and everything, and then they send us a draft back. And we look at the language, and because I am an attorney, I can look at the language and I can say, actually, this, the way it's worded, will do something other than what I am desiring to do. And I have an opportunity to submit different drafts. And so once you file it, like, I am lobbying my bills. I have appointments with the chairs of the, once they get filed, the Speaker of the House refers them to committees. So this is where the committees have to hear the bills before it gets to the floor for everyone to vote on. And that happens in the House and the Senate. So I'm lobbying it. I have a meeting with the Speaker during committee weeks. I was supposed to have one with him this week because our speaker is from Miami, Daniel Perez. But I'm going to be meeting with him in October about my bills. These are the ideas. These are the bills that I'm bringing back. And so what we understand in the legislature is that sometimes bills get passed the first year. So my very first bill I passed was lactation spaces in courthouses. And so as an attorney, every single time this year, I'm the president of the Gwyneth Cherry Black Women Lawyers Association. So I've been involved in bar voluntary organizations since I was a law student. Every year, without fail, a nursing mother has an issue, whether it's accessing a courthouse or if she's an attorney herself and not having anywhere to go. So that bill had been coming back over and over, and it finally got passed my year. So what we understand, and I say that to say, we know that the first year, there's likely less success than it is success. And so you continue to work on that issue and you continue to educate people. And with that first responders mental health support bill, I say this to everybody. It doesn't have to be me or my name for this to get passed. We just need it passed. And so that's where I am with that. So I was talking to any and everybody in the Senate and the House about that bill. So, I'm going to bring it back and take another shot at it and get some more support.
That's awesome. So this July, they did pass other mental health bills. How do you see those fitting into the bigger picture for our first responders? So
I think that the bills that did pass, I know there was a firefighter bill that had some components for mental health in it, and that was the big issue, right? I think that that's a great start. We have to chip away at this block of making sure that we have programs in place that people know that that we're thinking about them, especially as lawmakers. And so I think that I can build on what was passed and what is being implemented with that bill. But I think that's the first step. Thank God the conversation is happening.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's the first step. But I know from my research and being educated on it, these past like 9 months actually it's like a year now. It is a year now. Being educated on what the solutions are, it's low hanging fruit, and then there are big like orchids or orchards of, solutions. So I think it's the first step. And I'm happy to support that. And I was happy to support that bill in every committee. I think I saw it in 2 committees and then voted for it on the floor.
First, I want to say thank you for the lactation rooms.
Yes.
Because I'll never forget being a reporter years ago, just back to work after having my first daughter and reporting, being in a courtroom, working and hearing there were kids, like not inside the courtroom, but outside, and they were shrieking. And I just, what happens, right? You hear crying, you hear shrieking, and things happen. And I remember, like, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? And I hadn't thought about that in years until you just said that. So thank you for that. I wish there had been rooms like that back then. I remember the first time that the 3 of us were in the same room was about a year ago. And you shared a why, a very personal why, as far as a family member, as to why mental health matters to you. Do you mind sharing that story?
Yes. So my oldest brother, who he likes to still call me baby sister, and I let him. He is a retired Marine major, Anthony Gant, and he's also a decorated veteran. And he came home. So he did 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he came home with PTSD. And so as my big brother, seeing him traverse that experience was difficult for me. And, I didn't understand it at first. I was still in college, and I didn't understand it. I just knew that, like, he had seen some things that I would never ask. I'll allow him to talk to me about it. And over the years, he's gotten therapy. Like, he's at a different place now. He's retired. He is more himself than he was before he went. And as we get older and everything, we mature and we grow into different people. And so because he was able to have the mental health support that he needed, it is just, when I found out about like the gap that we have for first responders, I was like, okay, what do I have to do?
Right.
Immediately, what do I have to do? Because I don't think that there should be a gap.
No.
Did it make you more, because I know for Carol and I, it's definitely had this impact, not just the gap as far as resources, but as individuals, right? How we can conduct ourselves, what conversations we should start, what do we pay closer attention to? Because I know I do that at home now.
Yeah. And so, I go back to, you don't know what you don't know. And so when I have these conversations with first responders, like one of my former students, when I taught at Carroll City, he just became a lieutenant he's a Miami-Dade firefighter. He just became a lieutenant, and he posted it, and I was like, look at my baby. And so just thinking about him and like his son and what his family has to do, knowing, what he's experiencing on a day-to-day basis, I think it makes me be more vocal to tell people like, hey, this is what's going on. It may not be in your sphere because you're not in it, but that doesn't make it not exist. I usually tell people, just because you don't believe in something, like you cannot believe in rain, but if you go outside and it's raining, you're going to get wet. And so how do we make sure that society understands what family members of first responders need and what first responders need? That's actually doable.
Right.
It's just a matter of, okay, we have viable solutions. Let's look at how we create, how we get to 9. 5 plus 4, 8 plus 1, they both get to 9. How do we get to 9 so that 9 is the goal? Because you might need 5 plus 4 and I might need 8 plus 1. And we have the ability to create those options for both.
Let me ask you this, as far as like county budgets and stuff, when local budgets are tight and mental health programs are probably the first things that they're going to cut, what would you say to a county leader about those resources and how essential they are?
I think for Miami-Dade County, especially, we have leaders who are actually knowledgeable about it. And so I think that that's a benefit for us. And I also think that because we've had these consistent conversations about how important mental health is and how important it needs to be supported, we have people in positions that can be creative enough where mental health programs don't have to be the first thing to get cut. Like, how can we create partnerships? What can we do? What alternatives do we have? Sometimes numbers are numbers, but when you have a person in the position to make those decisions that has knowledge and actually cares, So that's the second part of it, right? You know, and you care. And both of those have to be present. I think because we have that here in Miami-Dade County, we're in a position where those conversations can be had and solutions can be provided and alternatives can be provided that will actually be listened to, so that when the final decision is made, everything is taken into account.
And I like, and you touched on it a couple of times as far as like the 8 + 1 = 9, the 5 + 4 = 9, what you just said. One of the things that I vividly remember from our first meeting was we had Senator Renee Garcia, right, with us. You were there, and I don't remember who made the joke. I truly don't. Somebody made a joke, and it was either, oh, the one Republican I like or the one Democrat I like. And it was genuine. We were laughing. Yes, people have different opinions, and that's okay. But it was so nice to be at that table with the mayor. Not everybody felt the same, but the goal was the same.
Correct.
Do you think mental health is one of those very few things that no matter what side we're on, we can come to some sort of agreement on?
I do. I am, as an attorney, I very much believe in policy impacting people and impacting people positively. Oh, I like that. I need to coin that.
Somebody write that down.
And so I don't think, and this is a hill that I stand on in Tallahassee, mental health is not a partisan issue. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how poor you are, how educated. I don't care what your background is. Mental health is not a respecter of persons. You know how that goes. I think I just messed it up. Right. It doesn't discriminate on what you have and who you are. That's not a partisan issue with me. And so when I learned about what was going on, I was like, I don't care who I have to work with. And I don't care if I have to be quiet or I have to scream from the mountaintops. This is an issue that is impacting people. And I say this over and over. I actually didn't want to be elected. I loved my anonymity. I loved going to the store and just like having my little shorts on and nobody recognizing
no
me.
Mascara,
right.
No
like, let me just go to the store and it tell me what to buy, you know? And so I enjoy my anonymity and being a private citizen. I saw the need for my community to go beyond that and to advocate for my community. And that's why I'm here. And so I take that same reason to Tallahassee. Mental health is not something that I am going to bargain with. And it's not something that I'm going to make a partisan issue. When people's lives are literally at stake, I don't care about what your position is on other things. Like, how do we get to the solution for this? And that's where I always stand.
So September is Suicide Awareness Month. This obviously is very personal to me. I have just your thoughts on this. The Florida Fallen Firefighters Memorial in Florida State Fire College in Ocala, and the Florida Firefighter Memorial Monument in Tallahassee, they still don't recognize suicide as something to be obviously honored or remembered. What are your thoughts on that?
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. So right now I'm actually in the process of trying to get Alex to be recognized.
Okay.
Yes. And along with another firefighter's mother who he passed away in Orlando. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Let's talk about let's talk about how we get there to change that.
Yeah.
I come from a legal perspective, but for him being a responder, like these experiences that he had as a responder, like you cannot ignore that. Let's talk about that. I did not know that. So thank you for educating me on that. I did not know that. Let's find a solution to that.
I'd appreciate that.
That's where I am.
And I think that's such an honest response, and we've all been learning, right, through this process. I know, and I don't want to share too much, but I know that part of the process, right, of you trying to get this taken care of, Carolyn has had to access a lot of material, a lot of records, a lot of things that, for a fact, this is not assuming that Alex saw, that Alex experienced. And when you see it all in black and white, we think we have an idea. As someone who's been around it their entire life, I thought I had an idea. When you see it spelled out on paper in black and white,
it's totally different.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
So, and that's why you're doing what you're doing.
That's exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. Just to kind of bring more light to this, because I think that a lot of people don't really know what first responders go through on a day-to-day basis. They're there for people's worst days, and then they take that in, and there's no outlet. I mean, so this is something that is, like I said, it's very near and dear to my heart, and I'm glad we're having this conversation.
I am too. And, you know, in another aspect as an attorney, what I firmly believe, and I tell young lawyers and law students, is you have to have something in place for mental health and to take care of yourself, because people come to us with their problems or at the worst times in their lives. It's a different way as an attorney, but I understand that because some days I go home and I'm drained because I've had multiple client meetings. I've had potential client meetings, and people are like, I need this help. And I'm like, okay, well, let's figure this out. And so what Alex and first responders do is they take care of us immediately when there's physical danger and harm that has happened. And you know, for us to understand that is for us to find solutions so that we provide support to you and families of first responders and first responders themselves. And so that's what I'm committed to. That's what I understand. And like I told you before, at the funeral, I was so impacted. I still am. I still have his bracelet. It's on my little table next to my couch. And I was so impacted. And I was like, there are different moments you have as a legislator that completely change your life. That changed me forever. And so, you know, I'm committed to making sure that we have this support. And whatever access I have, whatever conversations I can have, that those are the conversations I'm having.
Yeah, in order to make the difference, there has to be an understanding, which is why conversations like this one will continue to take place. Because look at us, we're all learning something, right? Every single time we start to talk about it. I'm curious, you know, mental health, mental wellness, it's everywhere right now. It's a good thing that it's everywhere right now. You started off as a teacher.
Yes.
Was it talked about when you were a teacher? I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but was it talked? Do you wish it had been more, I guess, as far as being able to help certain students who may have been struggling a little bit with it?
So I actually had the fortune of being a Teach for America alum. And so I started in Mississippi, and I like to tell people I drank the juice for Teach for America. And so I think that in the early 2000s, they did a really great job at making us aware. Like they didn't have the same language that I know now after going to therapy, after reading, after having different life experiences. But they definitely encouraged us to be very aware of our children's home life. Like we set these high expectations, but you set those high expectations understanding the circumstances. And that allows you to be flexible, which I think for my character development as a person, that was pivotal in how I interact with people across the board. And so we did, I was fortunate enough to, have that conversation. And when I came back home and continued to teach in Miami-Dade County public schools, I would tell my students, I said, listen, I have a lesson. We got work to do. But I understand we all have different days. Yeah. So if this is a day for you, you tell me when you walk into this class, and I'll give you that grace. And that's the culture I created in my classroom. So I was having that conversation about mental health, and I didn't have the words to say like, if you feel depressed or if you have anxiety, but we were having that conversation, and I set that type of culture in my class because it's kids are people too.
Yeah. Right. No, and I love that. And I think that that's a beautiful thing to say to students. And I'm not taking away from that at all, but it's like our first responders, and we know this, they don't have that option, right? They don't have that option to have a day when they're on call. And that's something that we've learned, right? It's not necessarily the call that they've been on that set them off, for lack of a better way of putting it, but it's just all these things that pile up eventually, right? And then you go home and you've got a nagging wife, or you know what I mean, like, whatever it is, a baby that doesn't sleep, because that's the case a lot of the times. So first responders don't always have that beautiful opportunity, right? That younger people do, to say, okay, hold on, time out,
right? And you want to know what? I'm going to come from like a esoteric new age point of view right now. I think that especially for men as first responders, we have to shift the dynamic on what's considered masculine and manly. Like, we have to give men the room to be human and have those emotions. They're human.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that the stigma that's attached to expressing that you have, like, you're struggling, that has to be removed, because you're still very much a manly man, and you can have a bad day.
Right.
And you can feel these emotions. And I think that as we continue to have those conversations of, like, we see you as a human, because in private conversations that is, revealed, like, I'm a man and I feel like I can't say these things, or I can't feel this way, or, will people still respect me? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I, that's kind of what I started with my students. And that's what I bring in conversations that I have now in different capacities. Like, when I have clients who are, dealing with certain situations, and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, what you're feeling is a human experience.
Right.
And as we continue to move forward to normalize human experiences, I think people will be like, okay, like, I can actually create a culture in whomever I'm around to say it's okay to have a day. Like, what kind of support do you need?
They're getting there.
Yeah.
It's been like,
Listen, we're talking about hundreds or thousands of years of societal expectations.
Right.
And so, it is like a slow churn, but 1 inch is progress.
yeah, especially the stereotypical,
Oh
right?
my gosh,
First
yeah,
responder male.
definitely
But that's
hard.
okay. You guys are doing better.
Yeah.
You wear many hats. So how do you take care of your own health, mental health?
Okay. I had a conversation with an elementary school friend today, and she asked me that. She was like, what are you doing? And I was like, she was like, I know you're in the gym. I work out.
Okay.
And I've been prioritizing time with friends and family. I actually thrive with, like, structure. So I created a structure, calendar for me. And it allows me to say, okay, I'll put my timer on. I'll say, okay, I get 15 minutes to this. I've also blocked social media during the workday. So I'm not, just internalizing everything that I'm seeing. I am starting therapy again because, as a lawyer, people bring me their problems. As a state rep, people bring me their problems. And, like, I am very grateful to be competent at what I do. But that also comes with the level of heaviness. And so, I just take time. And I also say I'm not okay.
Right.
And I also went to my doctor and got medicine to help me. Like, I have been dealing with, like, debilitating anxiety. And I share that with people because, I might have my hair done and, have my little makeup on and look put together. But I had days where I could not even open my emails because it just felt like I was so overwhelmed. And I talked to a mentor. And I was asking her, like, she is just this phenomenal woman. She's gorgeous inside and out. She's accomplished. And I'm just like, how do you do it all? And she was like, okay, what's going on? And I told her, I shared my anxiety. And she was like, have you spoken to your PCP about getting medicine? And I said, no. So to your point, it was like destigmatizing it, right? I had internalized as, well, I got to just do it. I can't get help. And when she brought that to me, I was like, it gave me permission. And I think that that's the message, right? We have to be soft and gentle with each other to give each other permission. And so she gave me permission to say, like, I am not handling this. Like, these last 2 days, I could not even respond to emails because it just was so overwhelming. She was like, go talk to your PCP. And I did. And life-changing, let me tell you.
I love that you brought that point up. And we have had a lot of conversations on this show about different methods working for different people, whether you choose to go a holistic route because that's more effective for some people. Getting meds works for people. There's opinions on both sides. But again, what matters most is what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people need to be okay with themselves and understanding what works for them. You know, because I was going to acupuncture, I was doing this, and I enjoyed it, but like I couldn't take 2 hours with traffic and the appointment and, you know, everything getting back and forth.
Traffic doesn't help with the anxiety.
Correct. Listen, that's a whole nother conversation, but, you know, I can sustain it. And so when I did have that conversation with my mentor, I'm like, all right, you know, and I've been so good.
You mentioned mentor, and we're running out of time, but I want to talk about this because mentorship is so important.
Yeah.
Right? Especially we have found within the fire department. And it's something that some people who we have spoken with says isn't what it used to be as far as like the old school firefighters and the younger firefighters, that there's such this huge generational gap that mentorship that was there in the firehouses so many years ago isn't quite as strong now as it was then. But we all need to find ourselves a mentor, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'm the first lawyer in my family. I'm the first elected in my family. At this point in time, I have the highest level of education in my family. So I have been grabbing mentors in the different spaces that I occupy for years. And I'm like, okay, hey, you want to be my mentor? Thank you. Let me have your number. And I follow up and everything. And so now that I'm in this position, I have young, you know, aspiring attorneys or young attorneys who I'm mentoring. And I'm like, hey, text me. If I don't respond to you, I probably saw it and I forgot.
Right. Text me again.
Text me again. Yeah. And I am very serious and committed to that, because we do have to bridge this generational communication gap. There is a communication gap between generations, and we have to listen to each other. So my like Gen Z lawyers, I'm like, okay, what do you need? And when I talk to older lawyers, I'm like, hey, you guys did not get, like, I am reinventing wheels that I don't think I should have to reinvent. I need help. Are you willing to help? And I need an honest answer. And if it's yes, or if it's yes in this capacity, okay, who do you know that I can get this from in this other capacity? And so we have to, like, that goes just back to people. Right? Like, you don't have to mentor everybody, right? But give your time. Like, it's okay. We're all busy.
In so many ways. It serves in so many different ways.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast and really, you know, having the conversation with us and sharing your story and just all the things that, you know, you have in the works. I really look forward to our conversation.
Yes. And I am, again, going to be very honored to sponsor the bill. We're going to do some analysis. My legislative aide, she's like, Rep, let's talk about these bill ideas. And so because we have 7 slots, I am very intentional about the 7 slots that I have. I'm bringing back my veteran entrepreneurial support bill that's also inspired by my brother. Like, Florida, I think, is the number 3 state of veterans in our in the country. Why don't we have a specific program and incentives for veteran entrepreneurs? That does not make any sense for me. And I wasn't aware of it until my brother told me, like, I can't make Florida my home base because this is what I have in Texas. He actually retired in Texas. So this is what Texas has. I really do want to come back home and make Florida my home base, but I can't. And so there are things that, like, I go back to people. Veterans absolutely need this support. First responders absolutely need this support. Families with young kids absolutely need this support. So that's where I have dug in my heels, and that's where I'm going to keep advocating when I go back to Tallahassee.
You are a hard worker. We know that. You're nonstop. Thank you for being such a friend of our foundation. About exactly a year ago, you said that you would come on our podcast. We had to reschedule a few times, but you stuck to your word. So we really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for what you're doing.
Of course.
It is necessary. It is needed. Like, right now, I feel like I'm tearing up, but please keep doing what you're doing. Educating people, because, like, it's so important. And we're going to work together on that thing. Okay. Right. Like, I'm serious.
Thank you.
Okay. And we remind everybody who watches the importance of being aware of what's happening around us. And if you see something to